Yes, you're tuned into the House of Lords. The Right Honourable Marius, the Right Honourable Iyani, and last by no way means least, oneself. We are the House of Lords. We're going to be exploring the manipulation of the mind right here on this particular episode. So who knows where we're going to go? Grab yourself a brew, strap yourself in, and we'll get this party started. So again, if you want to interact with us, feel free to mingle in the chat section on the live. I'm sure either myself or these two good gentlemen will keep ever vigilant on what it is that you lot are talking about. Any observations, we want to hear them too. And don't forget, you can also email us if you want to remain anonymous. And that email address is thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. Give you that one more time. Thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. So while we're in the background getting ourselves all set up, don't forget to share the live, share it with the people you don't care for. Equally, if you like to listen to some stuff and you can't quite follow the YouTube while you're at work, but you can slide them headphones in, jump over onto Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, give yourself the pleasure of the 3-hour deep dives of some of the discussions that myself and the other two gentlemen embark upon. So we're going to be diving straight off this platform. I don't know what we're going to be diving into, how far we're going to go, where we're going to go, and what is the manipulation of the mind, this social conditioning by forces potentially outside of our awareness. There you go. And we've landed. So, gentlemen, how are we? Marius, you fabulous man, how are you on this fine, fine day?
I'm great. Especially because I'm alive. So,
Marius, can you hear
everyone.
me?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Iyani, can you hear me? This is a fabulous start. You can.
I can hear you both.
I can't hear a single thing that Marius has just said. So,
well,
it is beautiful to be alive.
Gentlemen, I want to make sure that our signal is coming through. Can you guys see it on? Can you see the live signal?
No,
I can't see anything at a minute, mate.
Nothing's
there you go.
live
I got Marius for a second now.
You got Marius for a second. You got him. Okay, and then but you can't see the live signal?
No.
No, it's not. Even on my side.
Have you made it public?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I believe that's one of the things
I can now.
Marius,
Yeah.
You can hear me now, yeah?
You can hear Marius now? Okay, good. Of course, there's a reason as to why. Instead of that was the bit, right? You didn't quite get to give you the full
Mm-hmm.
be like, yo, rock and roll, but okay. So now it should be. We should float on through now. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're doing lots of work in this spot, so.
So all of that fabulous stuff at the beginning there, beautiful introduction, and silence is golden. Here we go. Right. So we might have something here now.
Yeah, I received the message.
So Marius, I kick straight up on you. What's your take on this start or what?
What's my take on this start? Well, I was just saying hello to everyone. I said also that I am great as long as I'm alive. And it's another great day. Looking forward to the discussion that we're going to have, especially in regards to, that's what we discussed. We're going to discuss the mind control, is it? Mind control. So.
Right.
I would want to say hi to Henny as well. Henny.
Right then. Yeah. So yeah, this is it. This is what we're doing. Yeah, it's looking. It's a good day. It's a good day for it. Good day for everybody. And this is what we're doing. We are going to be speaking about the various aspects of persuasion, of unwitting coercion. The willingness people have to go ahead and consume something that they don't actually need after they spent time watching TV, after they spent a little time in the car driving down the road and listening to the radio station. That's just a scratching of the surface there. But yeah, because aren't any of you guys interested in how that all works? Why is it that someone's sitting there watching TV, an advert comes on, all of a sudden, I'm quickly going that I'm going to McDonald's. Well, I don't go to McDonald's, but do you know what I mean? I'm just imagining a household. Oh, I'm just going to Wendy's. Yeah, just go and get myself a burger. And they just saw it, so I'm just, I'm being silly, but at the same time, I'm not. I want to know, and maybe we should know. Maybe it's about time. If you hear, all you hear is, oh, we're a nation of consumers. Oh, we're a population of consumers. Why? Why have been labelled consumers? What is it? So yeah, that's how I begin the day.
Well, fair play to you. Fair play to you for coming in hard, coming in strong. How about yourself, Marius?
Well, let's bring it back to something that's more recent, so people can connect with, right? I mean, we can speak in general. As the three of us here, we've been going down this rabbit hole for a while, right? And we've been looking at different ways of mind control that they've been used. And let's look at the 2020, which was an interesting year, right? The 2020. As Carl mentioned prior into other podcasts, is the fact that prior to 2020, most of the people around us would not trust the government. No way they would trust the government. They knew that they are a bunch of liars and they only lie to be elected. Most people knew that. No, I'm not saying that everyone, but most people that I came across, that was their view on it, right? And all of a sudden, all these repetitive appearances over the TV, over these governmental figures, have managed to influence people go and take a poison, thinking that they made a decision, but not paying the attention that everything that's being painted in front of their eyes through the media, through the TV, through your mobile phone, which that's even more powerful because it's with you 24/7. With the TV, they can only impact you when you're at home and you search on the TV, right? But with your phone, how they get access to you 24/7. Every time you look at the phone, they will pop an ad to make you interested in something. They will just give you that notification just to get you interested on clicking on that link and see what do they want with that. This is one of the things that I started doing since 2020, turning off notifications, right? So it does not distract me, or it does not get me curious over whatever they want me to see. And because of that, that's why sometimes, I even mentioned with you guys, my notifications are so many of them are turned off that if you try to get through to me through certain platforms, you can't, just because the notifications are off. Not that I don't want to connect with people, it's just because I know that those platforms are also using this tactic of notification to push whatever links they want us to look at. And when we do look at those links, and we do look at whatever the TV, especially the series that are being painted in front of us, it's having an influence because it goes directly to the subconscious. One of the things that I came across, which a lot of specialists are talking about, is the fact that the subconscious does not know what's real and what's not real. It will take everything literal, like it is happening in real time. So even though we watch the movies where people are shooting each other, killing each other, we think, yeah, it's just a movie. It's actually, it doesn't affect me in any way. It's something that entertains me. But when you start to become aware of the fact that the subconscious has no clue about what's real or not real, then you start to comprehend the fact that this has an impact on the way we think, on the way we make decisions, on the way we interact with others, on the way we act with others. And to see that in my life, in my life, I can see this effect of all these soaps that all these tenders, coronations that they keep running, which in a way I can say, well, I played part in that because I introduced that to my missus, for example, to get better with her English, right? So I was like, well, you can watch that, and by watching that, putting the subtitle, it's going to help you to improve your English. Not realizing what I'm doing, I'm actually creating an addiction. Even though it was from a good place with a good intention, and at that time I wasn't aware of what I'm doing, because I wasn't aware of what I'm aware of today. But now, she doesn't miss one episode. They're continuously all recorded, and every time she gets the time off, she will look at all of them. And all the things that happens in those episodes, which sometimes I get a glimpse by going through the living room and all that, and hear whatever that particular scene happens with the arguments or breakups or whatever happens in that bloody soap. And I recognize it in my own life, because it is, without my missus know it is going straight to her subconscious. And that actually gets people into something that I can't remember the gentleman's name that he was speaking about, is get people not to care. They get to that place where they don't even care about their own kids or their own family. Not that because they don't love them. It's just because of the way that these programs are designed to work. And we see a lot of, especially lately, not just in the UK, all over the world, how this single mom thing is being so infectious that you see a lot of moms that are single nowadays, right? And when you look at something that actually got me be a bit more aware of, I was looking at something, and one of these ad came about a game, because they always put these ads with games, right? And the ad of the game, the beginning was where the man was arguing with the woman, and they had a child, and then the next image is the woman running with the child, and the man following the woman saying, "You're not gonna divorce me." And this is in a game. Honestly, I was looking at that, and this is in a game that most parents would probably buy to their children, saying it's a game, he entertains them. And he's portraying that in the games now. All these games for the kids. So just to sum me up, because I don't want to go further, and I want to see what you guys have to share, because I know it's going to be an interesting discussion, and we have a lot of points to make. The fact that I became more aware of the influence of the media, of the influence of the devices, I started step by step to implement certain changes to give me the position where I can be more in charge of how much I'm using the phone or the TV in my house. So actually, the TV, I hardly use it. I only use it when I play a game with my daughter. So there you go.
That's certainly a fair bit out of the freaking gate there. There was lots touched upon, especially the subliminal marketing tactic that fundamentally have people subconsciously feeling less about themselves unless they have this particular product. In some way or another, they're not fulfilled or they're not a success because this is the newest and brightest thing. And if you ain't got this, then you're just not on thing. But equally, there's the programming which you were talking about there, Marius, and you brought forward a fabulous point about that a study that was done observing people watching movies of all various scenes, of violence, assault, right across the spectrum, and they observed the brain waves while watching these movies. And then they observed the brain waves of people in REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. And the brain waves are no different. There is no way to distinguish between rapid eye movement sleep and waking consciousness. Or conscious, awake, walking about. And there's no difference in the way the brain operates. So how it's processing the stuff internally is how it would process if you was going through it itself.
Right.
And then all the ramifications of that, i.e., if your body produces an emotional response by some kind of fear-based stimuli that it's just seen outside of it, and you don't do nothing other than sit there on your sofa, then all this toxic energy is then just going to fester within yourself.
No kidding.
And we ain't even got onto to mind control. This is merely just marketing suggestive programming.
Yeah.
But yeah, fabulous points, Marius.
Very strong.
Thank you. No, but that because what got me there is actually what Yanni was mentioning about, you all of a sudden you feel like, oh, I want to go to McDonald's, even though you didn't think about that, but there was an ad that you weren't aware of it. And then he clicked that. It just happened, right?
But again, that's that terms and conditions of practically every app, isn't it? Google and all of these apps, Chrome, where you can absolutely link everything, your calendar, your appointments and absolutely everything, emails to train tickets, everything's all connected, all conveniently connected to this one device. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to go see anybody, just click, 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 click. And you think, oh, this is great, this is a fabulous bit of kit, and it is for all intents and purposes, but to actually use these and you click those terms and conditions, and you go through some of the cookie preferences and everything else, you'll be surprised what you're allowing these applications access to. These search engines. One of the most prominent, Google, for instance. Google, I laugh because Google's always listening, no matter what you got. There was this meme I saw ages ago, right? And it was of a gentleman in the 60s saying, "Oh, I better watch what I say in case the government plant bugs," right? And then it jumped forward to 2024 and it was like, "Hey, wiretap, what's the right way to cook this bit of meat?" Right. And then wiretap, aka Alexa or Google or whatever other AI bot it is, it's always listening. And then you go back to the subliminal advertisements. With the apps and these algorithms are always listening. You could go to the park, have a conversation with somebody about dogs, get home, open up your phone, and the first advert that you see is about dogs. You know, you have a subtle conversation about an extension, and then all of a sudden you've got loads of contractors appearing up on your advertised street.
Mattress.
You know, this is how it's become so efficient on monitoring and just automated responses. You know, this is just noughts and zeros, listening to information and then cultivating your browsing experience to suit that what can compel you to consume. And this doesn't mean necessarily food. It means buy, purchase, spend.
So then within that, is there not the first question that comes up, which is why? Why the fuck are we constantly being sold to? Why does a brand feel the need to actually they're not happy enough? It's not good enough to just show a commercial once over here, a little ad on the side of at the store there. No, they want to catch you on your phone. They want to catch you on the bus, on the tube, right? You're walking from your house to your car. They're trying to catch you there. So why? Are their products not good enough? Do they have to use a particular protocol, a particular procedure to convince people that the product is good enough to be sold? Why is the product not selling itself? You hear about something, you know, there's certain products, you hear about them. Your mate's got something with your neighbour, you try it, right? You use it. He goes, yeah, borrow it for a minute. You use it, you look at it, brilliant. You purchase it. Yours is already on its way as you're handing back, you know, your neighbour's goods. Yours is already on its way because it sold itself, right? No one had to, the company didn't have to come and flash flood you with loads of different images. No, it was something that was practical. You needed it. Your neighbour said, "Oh, I know you're into. Hey, check this out." Boom, it was done. Right? You went and then got the product. Now you're using it. 10 years later, you're still using it. So tell me something. Is it the fact that products were just weak and unnecessary? Is it the fact that somebody came up with the idea, do you know what? We can make anything and sell it to them, right? Well, how are we going to do that? They're not interested in it. Nah, we'll just make commercials. We'll persuade them. So is that what's behind the majority of the products that people are purchasing today? Has that secured revenue for those companies?
It's a great question. It's a great question indeed, and one that we'll get back to. Press that button, Yanni.
And it's through our immersion in our own experience. I can't stress that enough because you are the architect. You are the pilot of your journey. You're the actor, the thespian. Now, you could take the lead role and talk into said Yorick's head, or you could be a little extra at the back that doesn't have many lines at all and doesn't like to be seen. A meek little butterfly. It is your choice. Completely your choice. Now, the insightful aspect of all of that is you now are aware, you have been made privy to, again, like you heard me say the other day, you are now illuminated into the insightfulness of your possibility, where you therefore are the architect, you are the director, you are the key star, or if you wish, a quiet little extra of your own existence. That in itself is insightful. Fascinating.
And if you want to know what that is all about, get yourself over to the mindgym.club to find out what all that is about. Iyani, press that button. And we're back. Now, we was exploring a fabulous question put forward by the Right Honourable Iyani, and it's one of why are we constantly bombarded with things to make us consume? And is that consumerism being one of such that it's created such a revenue stream for a rather wealthy few individuals that it's now tailored? One shopping experience is now tailored. It's been so finely refined that you don't even realize that you're constantly being sold a better life through commercials and billboards. And why is that? Again, is it the consumer that is holding up global commerce? Is that the case, or what? Is our consumption of goods required for global stability? Gentlemen.
There's a lot of questions. Both of you guys came up with a lot of questions.
Because because it really is one of those immensely faceted areas that needs to really be looked at, because it governs it. It's apparent that it appears to govern virtually everything about society. It's like this mechanism of continued convincing. It's like truth speak in George Orwell's 1984. Constant wittering in the mind, constantly making sure that you are within a particular realm. Now, it's not as, doesn't seem as draconian as that, but when you think about most people's actions, right, aren't their own. You know, you guys have had these conversations many an occasion, and in various forms, you know, I've taken part, where when you take an objective and just an objective observation of society, deems that most motivations are not forthcoming from within. They are external factors from without, i.e., whether it be the idea of social status and everything that goes with that. So the need to then follow the car commercials, the need to then be the person that's looking to get the mortgage, the need to be the person that dresses a certain way, the need to be the person that's children goes to a particular school. Those needs were not your own. Those needs are clear that they have been embedded or a part of you fitting into the system of society. Now, the only way you're going to choose to really wish to fit into that is if there is an external influence of some form that is gradually working with you, showing you the way in which life can be and how there is a pathway that feels nice, that appears to have what you need. In comparison to such and such, it puts you above. It allows you to be on the pathway to reach these lofty goals over here. And that's just one element. One element. And we're just talking about the household, day-to-day element. Nothing more. So I'll park there so I can go out and get a bag of chips. But I'm right here. Gentlemen. The bag of chips was metaphoric. Just me being parking.
Well, you can get a bag of chips.
Don't eat them anymore.
But what company are you going to go for? That's the question, right?
Go Wonder. Go Wonder. Yeah. Let's not even go there. Go Wonder. Yeah.
Go Wonder.
Yeah.
The good
old school chip.
I mean, through all these questions, my mind was going to a lot of different perspectives, and one would be like, they don't even give a fuck what they sell you. They just, sorry, that's how it came out. That's how I'm gonna put it out. They don't give a fuck what they sell you. They do give a fuck, but to see what influences you most and how far they can push the people to whatever they sell.
I'd like to
What-
refine that. I'd like to refine it, if I may. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go on.
But I'd like to refine. You said, well, they don't give a fuck what they sell you. Now, that depends on the level of reach that these people have. Now, even though we might look at the products and say, that's a pile of shite. That's not it. They care what they're selling you because they care they care how cheaply it can be made, how quickly it can be turned over, and how soon they can get it in your hands. Now, we do know of the one store, one of the biggest international stores, dropship store, right, that will get you your goods the next day and you never left your front room. Or 2 days later, it's being delivered in a box with a smile on it, right? I mean, and that's some global madness, yeah? Because of what? Because people are tired of walking to the store? They don't want to go searching around to find those presents for little Jimmy and Sarah. Nah, they just rather, what do you want? Yeah, scroll through your phone. All right, click, bomb, bang, here we go. Doing away with certain aspects, right? So, again, it must be the leaning into convenience, the commerciality. Not only do we, they used to get us out of our houses and walk down the street, get on a bus and go to where the shops were. That's how commercials used to be. And they spent loads of money on those commercials, right? Tony K Films. Look that fella up, man. Genius. Did all like the British Airways commercials in like the 90s and stuff like that, man. Yeah. You know, quality. Yeah. There was a story. There was an art that captivated our imaginations, our eyes, right? It made something. They made British Airways out to be this incredibly, plush, British, leader of airlines. That's how the commercials came across. So I want to go British Airways, right? So that made sense. But this whole incessant spamming, the news spam that they said no spam, but then what's this new what's this new thing that they're doing now? The minute you buy something, they're sending you 7 emails, right, within 7 days, plus some extras on the weekend. Is that not spamming? I've already bought my shit. I don't need you. I'd stop. Didn't ask you to do that, right? You have to opt out of spamming these days. Okay, so what's the incessant need? I just purchased something for my daughter, $300. Why are you asking me? Do I want to buy more 4 days later? So
because they want your money.
Right.
They want your money.
Right. Right.
It's like, all right, we can understand, but business is business. Business is one thing, right? And the aim of business is to get cash to elevate the business. It's business 101 fundamentally. But so we went from advertise, orchestrated to inspire to get a person out of the house, but deliberately to get them down the high street. And that was a psychological subtle nuance because you had to inspire somebody to get up and get out, right? Be subtle enough to allow the need for the product to be worth the journey out.
Right.
And now we see a very different kind of form of advertising, keeping in kind of line with the time. We see advertising now very, very, very much just openly brazen on your senses. It used to be very supple once upon a time. If you was going to sell a car, you couldn't just show the car. It had to be a thing. It had to be a whole sequence in a movie and everything else. If you were selling anything, you had to dress it up.
The experience.
Yeah. And now we're seeing advertised, like I just said, really just out there brazen. Like, your life is shit if you ain't got this. You know, your family's going to think you're a right type cunt if your nan ain't got a decent place to sit at Christmas.
Yeah. It's all on the shaming.
It is. But at the same time, at what point, you know, I tire of oh, it's them, they're doing this, they're doing that. Everybody's doing everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing anything. It's solely your responsibility to be able to understand the manipulation and the tactics used against you to get you to come fucking soon.
Right. Yeah, that's
it's that simple.
It's on you.
It's on you.
It's on you. It's not on not on them. It's not on the business. It's not on the advertising company. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's what.
And it's to sell you, to sell you their shit. That's it in a nutshell. Now we called it mind control or stuff like that of that nature. This particular episode, right? But we've got
mind control.
If you look up, you know, the psychological experiments that were done by various countries some years ago with LSD, various other drugs, propaganda experiments, MK Ultra type of experiments, Majestic 12, all of this Manchurian candidate being able to split somebody's personality into several personality types, and each one of them being absolutely oblivious to the other one's existence, unless walking past a billboard and it just happens to have that billboard purple 17, and that was the trigger word that brings out that personality, and then you go commit a heinous crime, and then as soon as you've committed that crime, you've been conditioned in a manner that Jack in the Box goes back in the box and you're none the wiser. And a lot of people say, oh, that's all nonsense. It's Freedom of Information Act. This is almost old news now. I forget how many films have been made about the terrible kind of things that are thrust on an individual to get them compliant. You look at the ritualistic panderize that we see throughout the A-list celebrities. At some point in their career, they end up with those panderize. And where anybody that reads or understands anatomy and stuff like that understand where these kind of panderize come from. Some severe trauma and all the rest of it, and in some ghoulish, horrible ways. The psyops of the Playboy bunnies and you know, the pussycat ears on all these pubescent teenage girls being pumped out of Disney. The calling cards of all these little mindfuck groups. All their logos that are variations of the same bloody thing. All of which are a part of this conditioning of your mind, of your brain, of your psyche, of your comprehension. School, the academic world is no different. We see in the public comprehensive schools that we're taught one thing, and then in the private sector, they're taught another way. So you have a clear distinction of the education that's being exposed onto these individuals, and it's clear to see that the private sector end up becoming the politicians and the leaders of this frigging world. And then the comprehensive people come the people that drive the vans and press the buttons and aspire to be something that they're not. I was speaking to somebody the only other day, and they were quite young, and check this out for Switched On. He turned around and said, I wanted to become a politician. I said, really? He said, yeah. So I wanted to become a politician. I said, well, what changed that? Now they're going to go in for something else, and what they're going for is out of this world anyway. All power to them if they can do it. And they have the personality type to achieve that. But I said, what stopped you wanting to run for prime minister or becoming a career politician? I'm in the wrong class. I said, what? I said, I didn't go to the right schools. And this person was 17. I was very much aware the double standard on the recruiting pool on which kind of public office recruits from. You know, you may work your way through the local authorities and everything else and become maybe a local representative or an MP. But when we look back at the academic schooling of our prime ministers, it is all very much of that upper echelon private sector. All the top positions are all of the same schooling. And all that in and on itself is also a psyop. It's also a psychological way of conditioning, you know, an individual to know their place without them even realizing that they were put in one in the first place. But gentlemen, yeah.
Right. All right. Well, there we go. All right. Well, we may as well just what? Did we?
All right, I'm kicking you both out of the bus. Get out!
All change. All change. This is it. I'm going for my dinner. All change. Yeah. Yeah. So, look. So, all right. Well, look, from a minuscule point. Okay. So, let's just think about... Let's start with this. Let's start with the young ones. We'll let's do a gradual... So, people can begin to build a... let's give them... Tell you what, you know when you spray that stuff and then you can see lasers, right? You spray that and let's do that so they can actually see what the fuck is around this. You know what I mean? Because clearly it's like, all right, yeah, we understand, but we don't because still. Okay. So for example, we were talking about the other thing, the other statement the other day when it says everything in moderation. Do you remember that, gentlemen? Right. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, right? Moderation, everything in moderation. You've heard that before. You've heard that loads of times, right? You've been told that about drinking, about eating desserts, about anything really that you consume that's munching, right? Even, you know, it doesn't even sometimes outside of those things. But definitely you've heard that term. Everything in moderation. Now, what do you mean by that? So you mean you can't just have it all the time? You can't just have it all the time, right? Why is that? Because it's not good for you all of the time? Is that a possibility? Is that a reality? Then, well, why isn't it good for you all of the time? I see. You're talking about the stuff that man has processed for the consumption. For the consumption, for human consumption, what man has processed. And then every time man processes something, the stuff that man makes the most money is the stuff that you hear them say in moderation, dosing. These types of things come up where, yeah, you can't have all you want. You can't just keep on having it. Just like water. You can just drink water all day long every day. But all the stuff that make the real dollars on, man, you can't. Stuff kills you. Right? And we say, no, in moderation, have that wine in moderation. Oh, have a drink, have alcohol in moderation. Right? Even though alcohol's an actual poison. But yeah, just have that in moderation. Even though if we were to ever bump into that naturally without any processing whatsoever, at best, we would get fruit that's fermenting. At best. And that's where we would then find that intoxicated feelings, like the Manubu monkeys. When they're eating that fruit, that's all, and then they fall off trees and stuff. Yeah, all happens, right? But that's it. That's it. Yeah. So, but all this other stuff that they're talking about, everything in moderation, everything in moderation. You all say it to each other. Oh, that's all right. Everything in moderation, as you're eating that cream cake that literally has no real cream in it, and it's full of sugar. Right? Oh, everything in moderation. Everything in moderation as you have your second bag of Cheetos that have nothing but poisons and crazy shit in. Oh, everything in moderation. Everything in moderation as you have your 7th pint of cider. And now you're drunk. and it's been like that 5 nights a week. But you're being moderate. You've been told everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. The foods that are actually really, really bad for you that you shouldn't even be eating. When you go to your so-called doctor, what do they tell you? Everything in moderation. And so you start to look about society, say, why does that group of people say everything in moderation, and why does that group of people say everything in moderation, and they're not even supposed to be in the same room? How is that possible? How are they saying the same thing? Everything in moderation. And I'm just talking about the stuff that we're not supposed to consume. I haven't even got anywhere else yet. We haven't even started that. And I'm not even saying go ahead and buy it. I'm literally saying that statement, everything in moderation. Right there. That's it. Just that one. We're just focused on that right now, here and now. We're focused on everything in moderation. You've all heard it. Why? What is that? That is a program. That is a program to convince you to poison yourself. Don't believe me? From this day forward, watch. Pay attention to when it comes up, how it comes up, to who it comes up with. That's just one little element, gentlemen, I wanted to bring in. Just one. Because we did say it was a multifaceted, highly dense topic and scenario. And I'm letting them know that, look, that one little thing, and I wasn't telling them to buy anything. I literally just said everything in moderation. But we've all heard it. Gentlemen, please.
It's a fair point. You got anything on that, Maris?
No, you guys covered it. I mean, I know my point that I was trying to make was a bit too radical, and he refined it in his own way. But no, you guys covered it well.
Too radical.
Too radical. I heard that too.
Yeah, because I said they don't give a fuck why they sell it to you. They don't sell it to you for any benefit of money. Money is just an illusion anyway. And money, if you're the one that you can print as much as you want, you're not going to do it for money. You do it for see how far you can manipulate the masses and to do whatever you want them to do. So you can be the puppeteer while the masses are just the puppets. And you know, it is, you can go to first say, it's for the money, but they don't need no money. They're the ones that are printing it.
Yeah.
They're the ones that they do all these things without actually having to invest in that. Yeah, they can buy anything because they can say, okay, I've got this money because I'm printing it. And I'm going to say, now I'm going to take over this, because you can allow them to build something, and then you can see what impact it can have on the society with that particular company. And then you can buy it because now you can control it and use it in your way. But that was my point when he's like, why do they do it? Well, why? Because that's the main goal for them is to be able to control the masses as much as they can, and as high the percentage as they can, because they are also aware to the studies that have done with psychology and philosophy and all that there is a certain percentage of people that cannot be mind controlled. But as long as they can keep the other part of the society mind controlled, they can actually, try their best to suppress the others and put the others in a corner, and not be able to have the impact that you can have in order to help the others to free their mind from this condition. And it's that is the perspective that comes from whatever I've observed and I've seen around. Money is just for people to make them think that this is what they do it for money. Yeah, the ones that do it for money are the ones that are being the puppets of the puppeteers. Because they also are being mind controlled. There are levels of it, the way they come all the way down to the masses. There are levels. And even if you look at the ones that they consider themselves rich, right? The fact that they are using healthcare, you're never going to see these puppeteers in any of the health system that we have, because they know that they don't need that as long as they eat from nature, as long as they eat in natural, as long as they use what nature provides. They don't need no health care. Yeah, if a bone is being broken, then they will need someone to fix it, or if they cut the slice themselves, they will need someone to, a surgeon to do that. But apart from that, they don't need to use that health system, right? But then they create this illusion of having a better care in certain parts and less of a care in the other parts, because the ones that are richer, they can get access to a higher care, which it is in a way if you compare it to the lower one, but it's never the right care. It's never not addressing it from a point of how nature can actually heal us, and how when the body is in line with nature, it's a totally different experience and a totally different life. And money is just an illusion. At least that's the conclusion that I've been drawn to so far.
So when, this is obviously it isn't with the depth and the complexity of the conversation at hand. When I refer to money, right, I'm thinking of your everyday Joe. People that just started a business, people that are just learning how to buy and sell. The everyday folk on planet Earth. Right? No, they're not the conglomerates. They're not the people that are investing into academic theatres so they can condition people to be and operate in a particular way. And on those lower levels, it is for money. People are trying to understand the buying habits and the consumer habits of others, so they can acquire those kind of trinkets that can award them an illusionary sense of comfort. Right, and you have to realise that vast swathes of the world's population have no idea about these individual small group, and it is a very fucking small group, right? That are pulling the particular strings of society to steer in a particular way for their own maniacal needs. It's not everybody, and anybody that's involved in sort of like the world politics or within academia or whatever, even if they're in the Masons, three quarters of them haven't a fucking clue. They just think they're good citizens doing what they're doing, and they're either in some club or some educational field of fucking learning. They don't actually see it that it's this horrible small frigging conglomerate, this 13 bloodline families that are basically funneling every frigging ounce of the coffers of humanity so it can steer it into its own kind of wet dream. I'd say 8%, 75% of the world's population haven't a fucking clue they even exist.
That's
so when it, this is why I stressed earlier on, right? I'm tired of the, people are just whatever and pointing their fingers and all the rest of it. It's you, not you, Marius, but it's fucking us. We're the ones buying, we're the ones consuming, we're the ones obeying. Most of these bloodline families, most of them are old and knackered, right? And wouldn't know a hard day's labour if it jumped up and bit them on the face, right? They wouldn't. And the only thing that gives them power is people's acquiescence and obedience to them.
And most of them, they do think they do make the choice, but they do not recognize of the impact of what we discussed at the beginning of how the TV and all the other media is using to influence the subconscious. And they think they made the choice. They think they made the choice. And this is where it's so... I mean, the three of us here, we can see that when we have discussion with others, and even though I don't consider myself like fully aware of it, I'm working through it, I'm going through it, right? Because it's a conditioning that's been applied to me as well, and as everyone else probably that's listening, and the one present here, and we have to work through it. It's not like a process that you're aware and you're done. No, because I can still recognize certain patterns that show up, and it's like, oh, I wasn't aware of that one. That's another one. But that's the thing. And when you speak to people, they're like, no, I made the choice. I'm like, yeah, you do in a way. But if the choice comes from the conditioning and whatever programming and whatever experience you have come through until now, and you haven't been aware of the fact that actually whatever you see over the TV and the media, the mind perceives you as truth and as reality, then you would think that you made the choice, but actually it's not your choice. It's your choice through those suggestions. And how is that your choice? It's the same like when I brought to the equation the fact of the COVID vaccines, right? A lot of people, they still believe that they made the right choice, or they made the choice, not the right choice, because I'm not going to go to that, but they made the choice. But later on, some of them start to realize that not really, but because I kept looking at the TV and they kept reassuring me that it's safe and effective, safe and effective. I mean, why would they say safe and effective repeatedly? And people would be like, oh, now it's coming out that it's not safe and effective. It's like, yeah, it does, doesn't it? But you should, as soon as someone sells you something with such a certainty, you should question it. How can it be safe and effective straight away? You haven't done all the studies properly. I mean, you haven't, in such a short period, you decided it's safe and effective? How would you know what you put inside within the next 10 years? What's the outcome? You haven't done those studies. But even if you've done it, you've done it for 3 months. Now, some people may say, well, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole because we can, that there is actually patterns going back where they already had patterns about the prevention of COVID-19 like 2015, which suddenly a new virus called COVID-19 happened in 2020, like 5-6 years later, then after the patent. I mean, how would you create a patent for prevention of something that we didn't know back then? That should be another question a lot of people should ask, right? If you go to, and I have noticed that they have changed the website of the, what was the website called where you could see the patent? Something with map chem. I can't remember. There is actually a website where you can see, but they changed the structure because prior to that you could easily see it, but now they changed it because more and more people were going through that website because of people speaking to each other, and more people finding the patent about this prevention that they already had a patent a few years prior to this new virus that apparently arrived in 2019. Right. So but these kind of phrases, the safe and effective and all that, they have to look at it and question it. That's all I'm going to say. When I see something that is so certain and someone is selling it without actually being able to prove it and bring substantial evidence, then I'm questioning. Simple.
So
hang on. We're going to come right back to that. Some great points there, Marius, but it is about that time. Yanni, press that button, mate. See, this is that point we was waiting for Yanni to do the second commercial, which we discussed last night on a particular time span, but he's away with the fairies.
There's questions. They were just. I had to write down points in this conversation because it's pretty in depth, and we needed to, But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time, right, where we do another commercial, and this one particularly goes towards you, ladies and gentlemen, your harmony, your resonance. How's your vibes? How you feeling? You feeling all right? Huh? Feeling good vibes? No? Elevated? Your vibration cool? Yeah? You in there? Yeah? Cool. If not, right, you should talk to my friend, Vanessa Elston, right? She will give you the guided tour and the introduction to the Quantum Resonance card. A card that you keep with yourself and you allow to harmonize yourself, harmonize your environment, your water, your food, your pets, anything. Harmonize your shower. So, now, does that sound like a good idea? If it does, then I suggest you make a visit. www would be where you start. VanessaElston.com. I repeat, www.vanessaelston.com and check her out for all of your resonant card needs. And also tell her that we sent you. And we're back.
And there you had it. So Iani and Marius was just expressing himself in a rather deep way, and I saw the Right Honourable Iani had reached for his scribe pad and had started scribing away, and he, for all intents and purposes, admitting or alluded to that he had some questions and some observations. So yeah, what you got there, Iani?
I was just so in Marius's share. You see the root as to why these people didn't ask questions, as to why they heard certain buzzwords, as to why they followed certain buzzwords, why they followed certain narratives, why they had given up the idea, not judging, but had actually given up the idea of finding out for themselves, thinking mistakenly, but nevertheless thinking that a situation like that would be in hand, and that in this very moment the government wouldn't screw us, right? Because you were told it was a national security, it was a national emergency, yeah? People are suffering, yeah? So surely that's when man come to the rescue, right? Hopefully you've learned something. Now, the reason why you have learned something is because the entire time that was happening, there was a manipulation taking place. As we are talking about, the title of this particular show is mind control part of our society, ? Right? We have to take a good look at that. And we have to take a good look at the few rungs and the different areas of society and see whether it's relevant in any way, shape or form. And then ask our questions as to why we've got builders, right, working with us today. And also why those prevalent questions, why have they not been asked? Why is it so prevalent there? And how come no one's saying anything about it? So I was writing down a little note, and it was said, well, look, people hear the word mind control, and the first thing that happens is, right, they think woo, right? They think X-Files, they think everything away from reality, away from society, right? They think of movies, they think of shows, they think of conspiracy theory. That's the first thing that comes into the majority of minds when you talk about mind control, because they've seen the movies, right? However, there is an issue right there, because unbeknownst to many who are contemplating, that mind control some shit, right? They're already in it. They just don't know. They're already in it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to talk about it in any sort of I don't have to really go down any sort of dubious road. I don't. This is going to be super simple, but I'm going to show you on the different points where it's done. So, for example, the idea that Elmer's glue would get a resurgence and people would be using it not to stick things together, but to formulate it with other aspects and make a thing called slime. And then to find that there are many females on planet Earth. I say females because I'm talking from the age of when they're first introduced to it as children, to the fact that adults right now, adults who were introduced to it, are still into it today. Making slime, putting their hands in it, and pressing it, and saying the very words that they all say, it's so satisfying. To me, when I hear loads of people all over the place individually say that one statement with that one stuff that they've made, is mind control involved. They don't realize it, but there is, because you're now in a hive situation. You're saying exactly the same thing. You're doing the same thing. I'll give you another one, right? This is another cool one, right? That's interesting. Okay, So some of you may be fans of Beyonce and some of you are not, right? So now me, I make whimsy, right? Because some of the ladies in my household, right, they're into her. I'm not, right? But check this out. I've done an experiment because I heard something. I did an experiment, and I'll just make jokes. I just make jokes. I wouldn't even say anything. I just do a funny face. And my daughter would look at me and go, Dad. What? I'm not saying anything. Dad. And then my ex would turn around and look at me, and she'd go, come out. What? Come out the room. What? Don't say a word about her. What? All serious. So I thought, nah, it's just them mucking around because they wanted to hear the concert or they wanted to hear what it was, and I disturbed them like an arsehole. I said, all right. So then later, like a day later, we're in the car. Comes on. I make more jokes, right? Exactly the same response. Exactly the same response to where I knew that if I did two more jokes, people would have actually been upset with me, like actually upset. So I thought, okay, no, I've looked at that. I'll give it a third one because you know me. I'll do it again. This time it's in the house, Grammys or something like that. I said one word. Yeah, I had to come out. I had to go upstairs to the studio and stay there. And then I did it on purpose because I wanted to see what the reaction was going to be. And I said to myself, look, if this is the case, and there's a certain thing that people have heard about that artist and about a certain sort of the group that follows and stuff. And I said, if that's the case, then there's an example of it. There's an example of it, a form of it. Now, I'll take you back in history just a little bit further, 70s, right? 70s cinema. Okay, now look at that. 70s cinema. You're watching a movie in the cinema, and guess what you would see? The lip-smacking Pepsi-Cola advert, right? With the word run right across the whole thing. Lip-smacking, you're never going to call fizzing Pepsi, right? Awesome, right? But check it out. When I got a little older, and I started to do like video editing and stuff like that, and started to look at production companies, I started to find out about the history of commercials, the history of advertising in movies and theatres and stuff like this. And you discover that even back then, to sell Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola or something, they would actually put subliminal shapes and things in the glass of the ice. Mm-hmm. There was stuff was going on. So now you say to yourself, wait a minute, the drink's already nice, right? It's already cold. It's already hot in here. And that's the coldest thing you've got in the fridge. It's an easy sale. So why are you trying to convince me right there in the middle of the movie that there's some chick? Or why are you trying to get alert to my senses to get me to buy that drink?
Yanni, do us a favour, don't press that button. It is about that time of the show, ladies and gents, where we're going to be handing you over to the Right Honourable Sensational Marius with What Comes Up.
This is exactly what comes up. The silence in the world. When they listen to such a podcast talking about mind control, at the beginning, there is silence. It's like, what are they talking about? And then the more they listen, some will become quieter. But then you'll have the other ones around. They will start debunking everything they hear. They will start talking over it. Because by doing so, that's when the convictions show up in order to interrupt the others that want to listen to what's being said. You have to make the noise. This is part of what is coming into the discussion is about all the noise that it's being conditioned in our life with TVs, with the radio, with the Spotify, with YouTube. I know we're using YouTube to send out the message. That is so true. I'm not saying that all of this is just bad. It's just that everything can be used for good and bad as well. Now, if you are the one in charge of what you listen to, what you actually want to visualize, and you're the one aware that there is such techniques that are being used out there, where, like Yanni was mentioned in the movie, they will put a drink or they will put something, whatever they want to put down into the subconscious, they will use it through the movies. Now, when you go back to see a movie, you'll be looking for all those signs. You will start to recognize that there is certain things that are being put on. One other thing is like the cup of coffee, right? That was something that we discussed the other day, gents, between us, about the fact that even coffee, because it's being cooked at a higher temperature than it's supposed to, that coffee that we drink usually, it's more toxic than beneficial to our own body. So it's not that they use the mind control in its own. It's everything else that comes with it. Because why would they want to control people to buy that particular product? Because as Yanni put it, if that product is already good, why would you need to push it so hard? Well, some, or even I will say, the reason they push it so hard is because of all the chemicals that they put in these products nowadays. And the more they can sell those chemicals to as many of us as they can, the more our mind is being disconnected and influenced, because everything we put in our mouth, in our body, it will affect the structure of the entire body, including the mind, including all the organs. So, and I can hear because I've got those kind of people in my life. Well, not as much anymore. And they will come and say, why would they do that to us? Why? We're the ones that are driving the economy because we buy all this stuff. And that's how money are being created, and that's how jobs are being created, and that's how, we build this structure. That's how we build the roads and all the buildings and everything else that we're building. And I've been sitting with that for so long when I kept hearing my friends saying all that. And it's like, how do you come to those friends and say, but what's money? What makes you think that all of this can only be done with money and not actually with collaboration? Yeah, the money are used as a form of exchange, right? To make it easier to sell your products. Why do we need to be sold anything? If we can actually come together as human beings and collaborate, why would we need the currency in order to exchange products? In order to, build? Because that means we will collaborate. We will all come together and bring whatever we find on this planet that it's for free. Whatever we plant in this planet, because the planet will nourish it for us and bring it out for free. You don't pay for the rain, do you? You don't pay for the sun, you don't pay for the moon, you don't pay for the land. What are you talking about? You're born on a planet where you're free. Where you are as free as your mind can be. And that's what comes out.
And there you had it, people. You're as free as you allow yourself to be. Fine words by the Right Honourable Marius there on this here episode of the House of Lords, right here on YouTube, Season 2, Episode 4. I know it's got Episode 3 on the screen, but it is Episode 4. Anyway.
So
Yeah, fine work there, Marius. Go on, Ian.
nah, go on. Oh no, there's loads of I was gonna say brilliant, and it just allowed me to jot down a few more notes, really, a few more like questions. It's like, oi, it's like, you know, for example, you know, when you were talking about listening, debunking, and interruption, right? Listening, debunking, and interruption, things that are done that stifle the that allow for the mind control to continue on. One of the things that I was thinking when you were saying this was, so then, is the mechanism so sophisticated, right? Than we first realize, or than we even realize? Is this mechanism? Is it born of us? Like, did humans come up with it? Right? Well, did humans design it and say, yeah, this is how we mentally enslave our brothers and sisters? Or did it come from elsewhere because of the immense effect it has, you know, native to humans? The other question is, look, the chemical industry, you mentioned chemicals, right? Because loads of chemicals are being sold. Is the chemical industry one of the main benefactors for the mind control? Is the chemical industry one of the main benefactors? You know, and then also I looked at this. Is it fair to say that humanity might be way too domesticated to even realise that mind control's operating? So I just wanted to throw those little things out there. We are in a deep sort of I think it needs that. We have to take it seriously, man. It's like, is the signal going to get broken? Is there a signal that allows for this to take place? Because clearly, right, we're seeing things happening. We're seeing, like you said, puppeteering, right? We're seeing puppeteering take place. We're seeing the protection of the theatre to allow the puppeteering to take place, and all to keep control. All to keep control. Where was the trust? It's like, yeah, man, no, we don't need to control them. We'll just do something. They'll do their things. We treat them right. They'll move around. They'll be happy. They'll be light beings. It'll be great. But now someone's going to say, nah, we got to control them. Well, most of us aren't digging up gold. So what? So what's going on?
What's going on?
What's happening? Yeah. I mean, there's got to be questions. Look, there's got to be answers, right? Answers. People want answers. They want explanations, right? They can't just be.
Well, it's yeah. People want answers. What explanation? The answer is within self. They have to ask themselves those questions. The thing is, one other thing that I've observed, which I did it myself, is like looking for the quick fix. Why do I have to go and explore that? Why do I have to go to that journey? Why can't someone just give it to me? Why can't you just give it to me? Why don't you give me a pill and that's it? I can fly and I can do whatever.
But isn't that the mechanism talking?
Right? It's that conditioning, that the fact that and when I brought the fact that we're not in tune with the nature as we used to be probably hundreds of thousands of years ago. And some of the people have recognized how beneficial it is to be in tune with nature, but also how beneficial it is for the ones that don't want to move a muscle for the rest of their life and just be served and live a high life by making others work and do all the hard work and pick and serve them. And somehow it gets me to that point where we live in a world where the society, the species, the human species are being manipulated by some of the laziest species on the planet, that they don't want to move an inch, and they want to be, they want to have all the other. It's like the ant with the queen, right? It's like having all the ants running and doing everything for them, and they don't have to do anything. As long as they completely, they continuously work on letting them know that that's their way of life and that's the way you have to live your life. It's like that movie where you mentioned before, Carl, with the what is it called, with the ants and all that. What is it called? The grasshopper. When the grasshopper says, you got the phrase, with the grasshopper saying, well, they don't realize there are many more than us, and we're just a few. But they don't have to know that, because as soon they know that, then we lose the power, right? You don't know what I'm talking about.
Ants, yeah,
Ants, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it feels like it's in that way, you know. It's like, yeah, we may be the laziest, and we discovered the formula how to keep people believe they're free while they're enslaved. So that's how I feel we're at, you know, because I can be lazy sometimes, most of the time, sometimes, you know. I would like to not do much, right? And I would like to be able to just walk down the alley and go into the forest. But listen, when I'm hungry, I'll go for grabbing that bite. Either he's in the wilderness or not, I'll go for that bite, right? You're gonna have to do something to eat. I'm not saying that, you know, you're not gonna have to do something in order to survive, to be alive on this planet. But that's the thing. As long as we realize that us as humans, we have the planet that can nourish any seed that we plant in, right? Because there are people that listen. When I go, and I don't know why I keep saying listen, because it doesn't really matter. You don't have to listen to me. I can talk shit sometimes, but it's one of the things that I can say is most people that I've met, they don't want to leave these high lives. They don't want to leave all these expensive, big, you know. But there are some people that they do want to live in that kind of life, right? The thing is, we don't need to suppress others. Not everyone is going to want to have the top high-end car, or the top, or maybe everyone can have the top high-end car if we come to that mind where our mind is so free in its thinking, where we don't even have to own a bloody car, right? Because we know we collaborate together, we work together. So if you need a car, you can just step out in the world on the street, and every car wouldn't even need to have a key. You just step in it and go. That could be achieved, but to achieve that, we have to actually work on this, free that, increase our morale, increase our consciousness, be aware of our conditioning, be aware of our choices, and see how when we make a choice, has an impact, not just for our own benefit. If I do it for my benefit, then obviously someone else has to suffer in order for me to benefit. But if I make a choice when it's beneficial, not just for me, but everyone else around me, that's a totally different choice.
Yeah. Yes, it's the same that, but it's yes. If that's the bit right there. That's the people to benefit, and then for others to suffer around those that are benefiting. That choice just seems to be a little weird. It doesn't seem to be like I wouldn't say fair, but do you know what I mean? It's not cricket, is it? It's not really cricket. And it's been, and we seem to have accepted that for some strange reason. Now, what is that strange reason? You see, we're focused on the strange reason today. Yeah, and people say for some strange reason, I don't know why. And we've even heard that, and I know the ladies and gentlemen have heard this. For some strange reason, I just felt different this morning. For some strange reason, after I saw that. And it's just right there. It's in your state for some strange reason. What is some strange reason? What is the some strange reason? What is that?
It's actually it's that time, Yanni. You know, well, press that button.
And now, live, direct, from somewhere in Europe, we present to you the man of the hour, Carl. Hit the pinboard.
Yeah, I feel your pain, Marius. I feel your pain. I do indeed, my brother. I feel your pain. What's on a pinboard? I had no idea. We still ain't got one this season, but it's out there. It's in the ether. It's hanging up on my virtual wall as if I arrived to it, jumping on platform 9.5 at King's Cross Station and walking through a brick wall. And there it is, this mythical pinboard with all kinds of limitless potential pinned onto it. And what is that limitless potential? I hear you scream. Well, it's you. You'll hear Marius, myself, and Yanni pontificate about what you should be doing in relation to all the stuff in the world. You'll hear us talk about, don't listen to these fucks, because basically they want to murder your children. Don't listen to them because, you know, they're involved in the toxification of your food. Don't send them there because they're involved in indoctrination and the skullfuckery of your very kin. But don't listen to us, because everything we say could be debunked by Google fact checkers. Everything that we put out there, there'll be some academic turn around and say that is what's the matter with the society. We shouldn't allow information and conversations like that allowed in the public domain because it is seeding dissent for the government and distrust. They could be right. They could be. But imagine if they're not. Imagine if they're full of shit and the stuff that we've been talking about is true. The individuals for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, have been torturing one another to understand how they can get people to do what they want. Just like we would train an animal to do tricks for treats. They've sussed out the human animal. Who are they? Bill Burr said once, the wizards. Who the fuck knows? You heard me mention 13 bloodline families. Around 300 individuals allegedly have about 90% of the world's finances, and the rest of the 90% of the world's population argue and scrabble over the remaining 10%. Could you imagine that? But that seems to be the case. Cementing Marius's point earlier on, said, it's not money. Fuck money. They don't give a fuck about money. And he's right, they don't. I don't even think they care about power anymore. We could surmise they've got that in spades. People are far too fickle and weak-minded and feeble-minded to resist the temptations of hardship, to commit atrocities for a life of luxury. Because it's easy. And when have we heard, or how many times have we heard, should I say, things worth doing are seldomly easy. And that's what this is. This is what life is, this journey. Only the other day, Marius turned around after I put forward an idea of information that I've accumulated over the years that helped develop a theoretical belief system about the world. Marius turned around and said, well, how'd you fucking know? I'm still questioning it. And rightly so. Question your ass off. Question me. Question Marius. Question Yanni. Find out what resonates with you and then take it out into the world. See if you can find others where it resonates with. And if it don't, fuck them. Because that's what it's about. It's being present within whom we are. We don't need to be agreed with. We don't need to be accepted. We don't need to be elevated. We just need to be present with our experience. And if you believe that, you know, your government is there to serve you and it's your best friend, then fucking all power to you, truly. Because your world is truly blissful, because everything is as it should be. But if you're of a particular religious persuasion and you think the rest of the world are infidels and they should be written off the face of the earth in the name of your Messiah, then so be it. High power to you, whatever makes you tick, you know? Because the world is full of it. Just like people. Full of shit. Full of fucking crazy stories. Full of alternative bits and bobs. You know what? And at the end of the day, if you can sleep with yourself at night and you feel all right by whom you are, then fucking again, high fives. Because you're living your life. You're not being swayed or manipulated by somebody that doesn't agree with you. And that manipulation can come from individuals like myself, like Marius, like Yanni. that are stirring the pot of social disdain and dissent, holding up the information that, for all intents and purposes, is misinformation and propaganda. But who did we learn this stuff from? Well, some of the greatest propagandists in the world. You know, you think about the individual that changed the food pyramid upside down and put at the top grains and seeds. I mean, what? When? How did that happen? Very clever. You think about the individual that convinced you that breakfast and 3 square meals a day full of bacon and eggs and all the rest of it is exactly what you need. You know, what about the individual that turned around and said, I know the perfect education for the people nowadays. This is what they should do. And we took it on. And you may be balls deep in that. You may be the best teacher. You might have even got Employee of the Month last year. You know, and this year you're gunning for Employee of the Year. Best teacher. That's what you might be going for. And you might get it too. And I hope you do. High fives to you. Because it's about who you are at the end of the day. Are you happy with whom you are? Are you happy with the way the world is? Can you rest your head and accept that all around you it seems that the world is losing theirs? If that's the case, you know what's coming. High five to you. Get your yum yang on, or whatever it is that you want to do. You know, get your meditation on, get your ayahuasca going, or even eat your Franken nuggets, whatever floats your boat. You want a McDonald's and a Big Mac every fucking day of your life, then you do it. I mean, consume like a big fat hippo and be present while you're doing it. And don't ever go out into the world and say, I don't like the world because they don't like me because I'm fat. You did it. The moment you accept that where we're at is the sum total of every choice we ever decided to make, you find yourself in a fucking happier place. Won't be tied to anybody else that thinks you should go get a degree. Won't be tied to anybody else that thinks you should do a good 9 to 5 and basically help somebody else live their best life while you just barely get by. Go for it. But what's on the pinboard? Being. That's what's on the pinboard. Being. We can't be anybody else. Everybody else is taken. So all we're left with is us. And be us. Some people actually hate the saying, be yourself, be your authentic self, because our authentic selves are cantankerous assholes. Some of us are lazy. Sometimes we're inspired. Sometimes we just can't be fucked. Sometimes we're a bit kinky and a bit perverse. Now, is that authentic self to be thrust out in a professional arena? I don't know. Who gives a shit? As long as you're yourself and you were happy and you were present. And if people don't get it, well, fuck them. Because there's only one of you. And no one can do you better than you. So whatever it is that you want to do, you want to be the next tyrant, you want to be the next Taylor Swift, you want to be the next Satan-sucking fucking megalomaniac, then go for it. Make a pop video, wear leather and pour cow's blood on your face while you dry humping a dirty corpse. Do whatever makes you happy. Honestly. Love and light to you all. That's what's on the pinboard.
All I can say, ladies and gentlemen, said, if you were not awake for that one, you're not awake at all. Thank you to our brother Carl. We're back after that immense blast through that immense flow. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Look, you know what? So, what was my last thing? My last thing I'll say. I was really just saying, so the proverbial elephant in the room becomes humanity, becomes humans. It's the need to understand why one is consuming. Well, now we clearly understand that. Boy, wow, they just chose to consume. They chose to consume and chose not to learn. They chose to go down that pathway and not to stop and study such pathway. They chose. They are comfortable in their choice. They may complain about their choice, but are comfortable in their choice. Is that one of the byproducts of mind control, gentlemen?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. Is it one of the byproducts of mind control? Or for people not making their choices, for choosing the regressive over the progressive? It'd be speculative to make an assumption. You know, it would be an assumption at best. You know, because like I think we've mentioned this before. You know, I'll have a cigarette, I'll have a coffee. I know they're bad for me. I know I maybe shouldn't, but fuck off. Today I'm having a coffee. Is that because I've been conditioned? Who knows? Is it because I'm being obstinate on my own self? Am I being complacent and flippant with life itself? I have no idea. But what I do know is that I have a choice. Regardless to what options are presented to me, I have a choice, which you've heard me say before. Schooling, education, employment, all of these things, we have choice. The ramifications of some things we want to do are really difficult. But I lose track how many people I know and have met over the past last couple of decades that quit their job, quit their 9 to 5, and they infused about what it is that they loved, right? And then they did that. They realized that the market wasn't there. The job that they wanted to do wasn't there. So they fucking made it. They made that job for themselves. So in relation to, you know, is it a byproduct? I have no idea. How can we truly discern, you know, why people make the choices they make? You know, we could say and jazz up the truth as glorious and as addictive as EastEnders, but would it get the ratings? People seem to like to be distracted. People seem to like what they like. And unfortunately, from one's observation, the greater complexities of what it is to exist, to be alive, to be present, to be conscious, don't seem to interest many. And that's why I touch upon the flow. Do what you're doing. I don't give a fuck. It's not that I don't care, like in a malicious way, but it has no onus on me. I'm going to do what I'm doing regardless. I love whom I love. I vibe with whom I vibe with. I avoid that I think is frivolous and empty and vacuous. But I know people that love it. Like I love the conversation, like I love the Socratic argument, like I love the flow state, like I love the development of my own experience. Some people love pot noodles just as much. Who the fuck am I to judge?
That is true. Who are we to judge? Well, we're not judging. Or maybe we do sometimes. We don't know. After conditioning to judge, right? It's like, even judging ourselves, that's included, right? Is the best judge of self.
See, that's part of the mechanism. You need it's part of it.
Yeah, and it's the same with part of when Carl was saying about, I like a coffee, I like a cigarette, right? Maybe, which was interesting to observe that, which is true. It's just the thing is that I'll take him up from my perspective. You look at it like, I enjoy it. Okay, why? That's when you start questioning. Why do you enjoy it? What's the reason you started to enjoy it? Would you as a 5-year-old enjoy it? This is the questions that I'm asking myself when it comes to whatever poison I'm still tasting from here and there, right? because as I mentioned earlier, it's not, it's a journey, because majority of us that we've been part of this civilization, and we haven't been into the tribes or whatever, we've been part of this progression of humanity through this civilization, society developed. We have been exposed to all of this, and we may think that it's something that we enjoy, which is fair to think in that way. Enjoy it. It's just as when you think from a point of asking the body and the self about it. Wait, who are you pointing? Because I can't see where you pointed. I'm trying to see. Oh, it's.
I'm, you know, I'm
Press
sitting here. I'm sitting here. I've been
Marius,
sitting here.
press the button.
There you go.
Press the button.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting, bruv. I've been sitting on top of this thing thinking, when's he going to do it?
Right, it's that time for tip of the day.
There you go.
With Iani.
There you go, yeah. Mate, I was wondering when we were going to get there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, and we're back again here with tip of the day. And what is the tip of the day? Well, we've been talking about mind control. We've been talking about many aspects and facets of mind control, and we've been talking about what it is in some instance, how it is, and why it is. You know what? Tip of the day. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty simple. Fucking wake the fuck up, man. I mean, look. At the end of the day, yeah. Look at what's going on around you. Yeah. Realize that you're not in control. But be okay with it. Start. The way out of this, right, is to start to accept that up to this point you have been controlled. Everything you buy, Christmas, Easter, the spring break, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Thanksgiving, you've been controlled. Because guess what you do around those days? You spend loads of money, and then you do things that you kind of might not like do. Like you come together with people that you kind of don't want to come together, but because the holiday dictates, you go ahead and do it. So Christmas, round the table, is like a dirty bomb sitting there waiting to go off. One wrong move and bang, it all happens. And then there's the stress afterwards, the munching, the this, that and the other. Right? Do you not see this? Year in and year out, ladies and gentlemen. This is what you've been attached to. And why? Because in some way, shape or form, there has been an experience, a mind control experience, one that you set your clocks to, one that you write little notes in your calendar to remind you each year to put you back in that mechanism so you don't know anything different. Do you go away for Christmas where there are no Christmas hats, where there are no Christmas trees, where there are no fat men with beards, right, giving away gifts? No, you don't. You go where there's a Christmas tree, don't you? Consider yourself mind controlled. Do you step away from that and go to the outer reaches where there's none of that? Consider this. You too have been mind controlled. I know you thought I was going to be kind to you as well, but I'm not, because I've had to experience that myself. I resented the mind control in that area. And what did I do? I did the polar opposite, which is exactly what those at the fringe had expected. I didn't see them. I thought I was doing something different. But in actual fact, I was part of another group. I was part of another group that had been coerced and had been influenced another way. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the tip of the day? Know the fact that you have been coerced. Accept it. Embrace it. Look around. Enjoy it. It's part of system. It's part of the system that we have chosen to be in. Accept that responsibility so you can actually see through all of it. Ladies and gentlemen, my tip of the day is quite simple. Just accept the fact that you're mind controlled. And that's that. Okay? Cool.
And there you have it. You have been conditioned. Well, the Right Honourable Iani with tip of the day, ladies and gents. You've heard a broad spectrum of viewpoints on this here episode. We're going to try to keep it under a particular time nowadays. How you've experienced it today is kind of the format. How we're going to be looking to go forward with this endeavour. Same place, same time. Check us all out again. But if you're new to this and you want to have a listen to some stuff prior to maybe, getting your phone out and watching us, you can listen to us audibly on Amazon Music, and what's the other one? Spotify, iHeartRadio, and obviously on this here platform as well, YouTube. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Check us out this time next week. And we all hope you have a fabulous time. I dare say, if you want to email us, if you've been evoked in some way to respond to some of the things that you've heard on this particular episode, feel free to email us. You can see that email on the screen right now. And it is thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. I'll give it to you again, thehouseoflords3@gmail.com. So from all of us here at the House of Lords, nothing but love and light to you and yours.